This is a quick response to the video by Jakluk4 on the Iraq War veterans video that was posted by friend Oregon, and also to Ujma Flipper's video responding to the footage from Iraq going around called Collateral Murder. But specifically the Jakluk4, because of the comments made about the military. I want to try and get to that. I mean, certainly we are kind of acting surprised that our various militaries are capable of actions which we are, or at least we should be fully aware that we are training them for. I mean, the whole point of military training, or at least one of the significant points of military training, is brutalization. We know that it's quite difficult for one human being to kill another human being under normal circumstances. So military training is designed to try to get past that natural human resistance, so we are capable of seeing one another in ways which would allow us to carry out those acts. So I don't think we should be surprised. I suppose we're just unused to having it brought home quite so graphically, and also of witnessing what seems to be the pleasure involved in it, or at least the trivialization of those acts at the time. I mean, clearly people don't feel trivial about them afterwards, or at least certainly the soldiers reporting their Iraq experiences afterwards didn't feel they were trivial after the fact, but presumably at the time they were making similar kinds of comments. I'm also struck by an interview with an author called Andy McNab that was on the radio here in the UK probably about a year ago now. And it was around, they were discussing waterboarding. It was around the time of a discussion on waterboarding. And Andy McNab, who writes war stories, I think he was a member of either special services or something like that. He was a member of some kind of military unit, and that's where he gained his experience to write these stories from. And his attitude was very much, oh yeah, this is just business as usual. If you join up, you should expect these kind of things. If you get captured, you should expect to be tortured. It's naive to expect anything different. And I think that seems to be a common attitude as well. You know, that there's one set of conventional responses that one would make in a public forum, and then there's an aspect of military life which is about it is that kind of brutalization, or the normalization of violence, and the normalization of complete lack of concern. It isn't the transformation of it into a known evil. So I don't think these people go into this thing knowing evil, as feeling evil, or even feeling valorous, or feeling courageous, or feeling patriotic. I think they go into it feeling normal, and certainly the way those troops on those videos from Iraq were talking was as if it was completely normal what they were doing at the time they were doing it, which is a bit of a problem. I completely agree. But the things, sorry, I've wandered off the point a bit here. But the point that one of the things that Jakluk4 was saying was about the military, and specifically things like, don't join the military, and a kind of wishful aspiration towards us all being one, and that whole kind of Buddhist thing about, if there was no more war, then we'd all just get along, kind of Jar Jar Binks philosophy, really. But it's not going to get there tomorrow, is it? I mean, if we ever are one, I'm not even sure what that means, to be quite honest with you. It's not. I don't think it's going to happen by abandoning the military. I do think the fact that the military is much more transparent than it used to be, and evidenced by the fact these videos can exist, is progressively over a period of time going to change what the military is capable of. And I don't know for a fact there's less atrocities than there used to be, but I would be surprised if there wasn't, simply because there's so much more oversight. The latter half of the 20th century particularly did, I'd see a lot of finding out about what happened in those situations, and I think the more visibility there is about those, they're not really crimes, they're just incidents about how warfare is actually fought, the more transparent that process becomes, the more the military would have to reform. Not just our militaries, but the militaries in all countries ultimately. How the rules of engagement will necessarily have to evolve because of the scrutiny that those rules are placed under. So sorry, that scratching noise is my dog trying to get in. I'll let him in a sec. Yeah, I mean, the particular bit about that video, the collateral murder video, which is very striking for me, and which is where it comes down to human choices and human interpretations of the rules of engagement. So, you know, because I think there are actual, I think it does boil down to individual decisions. I mean, I'm assuming what's happening there is that these young lads, 19, 20-year-old lads, who have been, you know, brutalized into seeing these guys as enemies, who are primed to misrecognize cameras as guns, who are primed to misrecognize innocent actions as potentially threatening actions, and in a state of arousal and fear themselves and excitement themselves, so they're more likely than usual to make mistakes. I mean, these lads are not making the choices. They are in communication with someone who's not seeing the same video footage they are, and who is making their calls for them, has given them permissions to fire, based on how these young soldiers are describing what they're seeing. And certainly when I look at the video, I see the soldiers not describing accurately what they're looking at. In the collateral murder video, the van pulls up, which, as it turns out, has got kids inside to collect the bodies, and the soldier describing the scene to his controller clearly says there's a van picking up, bongo truck, I think he said, picking up bodies and weapons, and there's no picking up weapons. For example, and the controller, whoever gives the permission on these things, gives the permission to engage without any attempt to clarify that situation. So, you know, the detail of that kind of interchange is really, really important, and it's completely erring on the side of wanting to get the engagement going, both by the soldier looking at it and by the controller giving permission with very scanned information. So all I'm saying is that there's a crime here, and it is a crime of the rules of engagement not being followed properly, of being badly written, about not enough detail being put in there. You know, I don't think we can deal with this situation by just saying, well, we should just get the troops out of all situations, because troops make mistakes. I think we need to find ways to correct the mistakes, and it's going to be incremental. And it's going to be, it has to be carried out in a way which is transparent, and unfortunately, I suspect a lot of that evolution of the rules of engagement would have to be carried out in the light of mistakes rather than in advance. But you know, but people need to be brought to book on this kind of thing. The people who think it's okay, the instructor or the controller who says it's okay to engage without having adequate information, and whoever his line manager is, whoever trained him, wherever it's written down that it's okay to make those calls, yeah, it should be called to account. Yeah, that's all I've got to say. I'm basically agreeing with everything everybody said, really, but I'm just trying to be more instrumental about it. Yes, the ultimate aspiration might be no more war, of course, but that's not going to happen very soon, if at all, ever. But we could at least try to get a better military. And I think trying to advise people not to join the military is probably a bad idea. We do need a military. Well, we're going to need a military for a while, at the very least, and I would much prefer it to be a really intelligent military of people who join up, not because they can't get a job doing anything else and it looks quite exciting like a video game. I'd much rather have had people who are thinking, Jesus, that stuff that's going on in Iraq is disgusting, I better get in there and try to improve that situation by being a better soldier. I don't suppose many people do think that, but that's the kind of thing I would like to see. Thanks very much.